Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Get this guy out of here. Welcome in. College football week 0 is here. TriStar's here. TriStar hung out in the chat last night, by the way, at my 11 p.m. stream playing college football revamped, and that was a fun one. Hey, welcome in. Week 0 is here. It's a lot of fun. We're excited to be here. I'm a little frazzled. I was trying to find something because we were going to have a guest picker tonight. You guys don't even know it. We were going to have a guest picker, but we couldn't make it happen. And so that's fine though. We'll live with it. My name's Bryce Koon. We're talking week 0, mainly Georgia Tech, Florida State. We might dabble in Delaware State and Iowa or Hawaii, whoever they're playing. I don't care. I'll see you in a couple seconds here in the crowded booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's myself, Bryce Koon, alongside Will Mannis and Ralph Leary, getting ready for a rocking show tonight. And for Georgia Tech fans, this is like the greatest week of content ever for them. I will say this, by the way, because I don't think anybody's talked about this program as much as they have in the past 3 or 4 days. I don't know. Like, this has been nuts. I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see what can happen, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We were good. I will say this. TriStar says, Brian, why wasn't I contacted about the guest picker spot? By the way, TriStar got a new job. Does Bryce sing the intro song? Bobby, I don't. I do not. I will say this. A Leary sings the intro song, but it's not that one. By God, it's not that one.
Whoa, hold on now.
It's not. I've heard you sing. We're rocking. We're ready to rock and roll. We're live on X, live on YouTube. Make sure you hit that sub button. Make sure you like into the content as well. We're rocking and rolling, guys. Josh Pittman says we are 3 days out from FSU going 0-1. Shout out Josh Pittman. I believe it's his wedding anniversary. 1 year. Shout out. So good job. Congratulations there, Josh Pittman. Guys, week 0 is finally here. We are done talking about hypotheticals. We're done talking about everything. We get to actually talk about real football games. Will, how does it make you feel? Are you a little tingly inside or on the outside? How are you feeling?
Very tingly. Very, very excited. So much so that I'm kind of nervous tonight, but I'm nervous for a number of reasons. It's probably because I'm going to take a lot of wind out of some people's sails tonight. I've already got enemies that watch the show, so I'll just have some more.
Okay, I like it. Ralph, your thoughts? How are you feeling as we get ready to kind of rock and roll with this one?
I think I said it Monday night. We're done talking, about college football. We're here finally, and we're 3 days away from it. Doesn't matter if it's 4 or 5 games, and 3 really don't matter, or 2 games don't really matter. Honestly, we get to watch a really good 12 o'clock game, and then we watch SMU play. I mean, who's not excited for the Ponies this year? I mean, I know Will and I are excited over here. This is an SMU podcast tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. I was excited until Rhett Lashley made the tragic announcement he made.
Yeah.
I believe it was yesterday, but we'll talk about that later.
Bryce, we need some questions to be answered here.
Go ahead. Yeah. Just 1 year of dating. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Josh. I thought y'all were married. That's what you get for friending me on Facebook. I'm just here for Ralph as usual. Ken posed a great question on Twitter, by the way. I did want to say this. Hey, this podcast is not sponsored by Dollar General. We do appreciate the love by Dollar General that they give us. I live right next to one, and we're pumped about it. We're also pumped about football season being back, and part of that includes an all-day watch party of the Georgia Tech Florida State game. It's going to start noon. We're going to lock and load in here about 11:50, 11:55, and we're just going to be. If folks remember when we talked NFL draft, it's going to be like that. And then what's going to happen is we are going to end the stream after the game. We'll kind of wrap it up, and then we're going to take like a 5-10 minute break. We're going to come back with a live post-game show, and we will be opening up the phone lines. And it's going to be interesting. I told these fellas right here, Ponies ACC champs, Will Ralph, or Gavin says, whatever his name is. I told these guys, no matter what happens on Saturday, Will looks like he works. Dollar General. it's going to be nuts. Saturday's call-in show is going to be nuts either way. Ralph, you remember Ralph? Did we open the phone lines?
Which one?
For the Miami game?
Absolutely, we did.
We did.
Right.
I was asleep. You called me like 40 times, and I was dead to the world.
Well, the thing is we got on the post-game show, and Bryce, first thing he said to me was, "This is going to be the most wild show since Nick Saban retirement." Or no, before Nick. I mean, besides Nick Saban retirement. Sorry, yeah. Besides what we had Nick Saban retirement was, and he goes, "Should we open the phone lines?" And I didn't have a chance to answer. He just went ahead and did it.
Yeah, no, we did. We did it, and it was nuts. It was crazy. But I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for Saturday. So make sure you join us around 11:50. We'll go live on the channel, and we're gonna be hanging out, and we're gonna be in and out. Like I've already told the wife, like if the baby needs to make an appearance on the show, if I need to go change a diaper, like I'll just hop off. You guys will talk for a little bit. You'll get to see Ralph. You get to see Will DoorDash and eat a wet burrito live on stream. Probably. It's going to be a lot of.
They're going to ask a lot of questions of what.
Am I going to be able to write that off?
You can write that off, dude.
Really? Oh,
you
Listen,
can write it.
I don't know what a write off is, but they do, and they're the ones writing it off. So that's what matters.
That's what matters. We're 7 minutes into this, and we are presented by betonline.ag. BetOnline moving that line on the Georgia Tech Florida State game. I'm not going to be giving my best bet tonight, and these two will, because I'll be live tomorrow night really going in depth in this game. But if you haven't already and you wanted a good episode, check out our episode.
Absolutely, Maxwell. I probably will be eating a wet burrito. Did you hear that?
Yes.
I got an Amber Alert on my phone. Sorry about that.
Well, nobody cares.
So Bryce not giving his best bet tonight. Let's just throw it back to last year. His best bet for week 0 last year. Absolute gem.
That's how confident I am in Ireland games, by the way.
Oh gosh.
So we're going to talk a little college football. Obviously, we got our playoff picks in. But as I was saying, if you want a really good episode and talking about Florida State, check out last night's episode with Bud Elliott. The comments are just wild. Wild comments, and that's what we want. But that's the kind of content we want to see.
Listen,
Will just wants to eat.
Austin Bodley, commie right there.
Will wants to eat and ride, and they both have to do with the SEC. So that's what he likes to do. Zach Jones says, just a reminder that Auburn will lose 222 to nothing to FSU. All right, we're 9 minutes into this. We haven't talked anything of substance. It's week 0, so we're kind of warming up to this whole podcast, getting back into the swing of things with the regular season. Guys, how do we want to roll about this? Do we want to sit here and talk about SMU Nevada first and just get that out of the way? Like, does somebody have that on the board? Like, can we look at that by BetOnline? All right, SMU, that line's dropped actually 2 points, 2 full points. SMU is minus 24.5 versus Nevada. This is a night kickoff. It'll be, I'll watch it because it's college football. Any thoughts on this kind of early on? SMU should win this game, but I will say it from what I've been reading, the Ponies are not going to be at full strength.
No. Running back Kamar Wheaton, Andrew Shamley, Braden Flowers, Mike. This is a name. I'm going to butcher it. Mike Yohan Sanjo Njiki.
That had to be racist.
0. All out for week 0. I'll retweet the tweet that I'm reading right now. So if anybody has any questions, they can see it. Yeah. Pony's not at full strength.
Yeah, but it's still
disappointing.
Still a great SMU team, though. I
don't know if it's great. I think it's good, really good. Well, I mean, yeah, keep going.
Well, that's all I was going to say. It was just that. You still have a top ACC quarterback with Preston Stone, and a great offensive coordinator and a great offensive coaching mindset with Rhett Lashley, and they're hungry for a solid year this year. I mean, this is their first year in a Power 4 conference, and they're excited.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I mean, if I was looking at the over/under for this game, and it dropped a couple points as well. So,
is anyone taking SMU minus 24.5?
Nah, I'm not.
I might take Nevada plus 24.5 here.
I already told you my best bet this weekend.
I know.
It's Hawaii minus 66.5.
That's wild.
What?
Are you going to stay up and watch that game?
Absolutely. I watched it with my roommate when they played Vanderbilt there 2 years ago, but I think it was like Vanderbilt, or if it was a Hawaii minus 2. I think what the game was when it kicked off, and it was one of the best ones. Bryce turned in.
Hey, shout out Jason Willis making an appearance on Feinbaum the other day. Big time guy.
Wow.
Big time guy. He's out of the doghouse with me, by the way. Look, we talk SMU minus 24.5 against Nevada. I'm just gonna say I'll probably, and this is not my best bet, I'll probably take Nevada plus 24.5 in this one. I think that SMU is going to go win this game, but 24.5, especially with them not being full strength, unless Nevada's just pitiful. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't dipped too far into my preview magazine to see what Nevada's even about. Does Colin Kaepernick still play for them?
No, he does not. They have a new head coach. His last name is Choate, not to be confused with Choke, but there'll probably be a lot of that going on. Nevada is really, really bad. Their secondary is really, really bad. So this line is still kind of enticing. But I don't know. With SMU not being at full strength, I don't know that I'm going to be putting my money on it.
I got you.
Their quarterback is Brendan Lewis. If you know who that is,
I couldn't tell you who that is, to be honest with you. I don't have a clue.
Half this team is.
I will say this: is it any relation to former left-hander reliever for the Miami Marlins, Randy Choate? Choate? Any relation there?
No clue.
Okay, me neither. Well, nor do I care. So that's a game that's going to be watching. And what other games are on? I think that Mercer is going to host somebody at Five Star Stadium. Shout out Fade Amos. Mercer's going to be playing, and
you can catch that on ESPN Plus, right?
You can. I'll probably tune in. Actually, I don't remember who they're playing. Murray State or something like that? No, I don't know. Some FCS school, obviously. But yeah, okay. So yeah, shut up, Maxwell. Well, let's just get into this. Let's spend the next 48 minutes talking Georgia Tech, Florida State. Ralph, put up the line. The line per betonline.ag. Make sure you get that in. FSU minus 10 against Georgia Tech.
Bryce is Presbyterian College, by the way.
Presbyterian College. So they're playing that TikTok linebacker.
Hey, they still got that coach that doesn't punt?
Yes.
Was he at Presbyterian?
Yes.
I don't think he's there anymore. Is he?
Did he get fired?
I don't know.
Then I might take Presbyterian plus 17 in that game. Okay, let's just you know what? I got an idea. Let's just do this. Let's just start over. Hard reset.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The crowded booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
All right, welcome in, everybody. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Will Mannis and Ralph Leary, and we are absolutely psyched to talk week 0 of college football. Make sure you check out betonline.ag for all your gambling needs and wants. Be smart with it, though. All right, let's talk the big game of week 0. Here we go. Georgia Tech, Florida State. Fellas, this is a big game. I'm going to go. I'm going to talk about this for like the 17th time tomorrow night. And I'm so tired of talking about this football game. I'm just ready for them to play. What are some of the things that stand out? We'll hand it to you first, because you said you might step on some toes.
Might?
You probably will. As long as you don't bring up Georgia State, you'll be fine, though. FSU, this line's gone down. I believe the early was like 13.5. And then it's kind of trickled down. You can get it on BetOnline for minus 10, which just that makes me nervous. But your thoughts, Will. How do you feel about this? Where are you rocking and rolling? Tell us. Just let the people know.
Well, I certainly think on paper Florida State has the superior roster, and I would say that I think I'm confident in saying at every position Florida State has the advantage. I think the big matchup to watch in this game is Florida State's offensive line against Georgia Tech's defensive line. Everybody knows how bad Georgia Tech was last year against the run. One of the worst teams, not just in the ACC, but in the country. Florida State's a run-heavy team. Their offensive line, a lot of continuity there. They're bringing back 190 starts combined between their starting 5, and they graded out as the 5th we're talking about their run game, but their pass blocking is really good too. They were graded as 5th by Pro Football Focus. They lose a lot, obviously, but Roydell Williams coming in at running back, he averaged over 5 yards a carry last year with Alabama. He's going to come in and have a good offensive line in front of him. I'm worried for Georgia Tech in the sense that Florida State might just come in and just run right through them, like through a tin horn, and it could get ugly early if that's the case.
You talk about that, Will, and look, I mean, this is kind of where the game comes down to, and I'll talk about this more in depth and some keys to victory for Georgia Tech if they're going to win this game. If Florida State, okay, so DJU was like 73% on pass completion rate on passes under 10 yards last year. I don't know if he has to be as dynamic, because that's been the large argument from the Georgia Tech fan base. Well, he's not that good. Okay, I don't know if he has to be great to beat Georgia Tech. Like, I don't think so. So it just feels like they're going to be able to line up and run the football. And if they win the line of scrimmage, then not only can this game be won, it might get ugly, because Georgia Tech, if they blink offensively, they're not going to be able to keep up with what they could. They're not going to be able to keep up with what they need to be able to do. Now, I think I think if Georgia Tech wants to win, get in a track meet, because I don't know with the state of the Florida State offense if they can get into a track meet with Georgia Tech and win. I think Tech's offense. I'll say this: I don't think that player-wise. I don't think player-wise on the offensive side of the football, Georgia Tech has better players. I think they benefit from continuity. And I don't mean that like there's I don't think there's a large gap. I think Georgia Tech's offense is exciting. They've got some really good players. But I think just bottom line, if they line up and run the football against you, offensively, you're going to have to answer every single time. If you blink, if you lose the turnover battle, you're going to lose. And it all comes down to the trench battle, which we'll see. Like, that's the battle. FSU's O-line against Georgia Tech's defensive line. I don't know. Ralph, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Will. The first part of the statement, though, was I think they have a superior lineup. I do. It obviously comes down between the big battle to me, obviously, is up front. This offensive line, defensive line matchup for both sides of the ball. Georgia Tech's going to try and do their best to establish a run early so Haynes King can actually open up play action, get the ball out there, and get to his receivers. Obviously, he's got some really talented receivers coming back this year, and he's got a full year playing with them last year, and now they're a full all season with them. So those connections are there. Obviously, FSU had to reset those connections with DJU this year, and it takes a little toll on those receivers and quarterbacks at first in the beginning of the season when you're facing a team that actually studies your offense and everything, how you play and the matchups and everything. So I'm excited to see the matchups. Obviously, you got Jalen Brown, Malik Benson, who are really talented receivers. And they're going up against Amari Harvey, Clayton Powell-Lee, LaMiles Brooks, all of them. These guys they're veteran players. They've been here for a while now. They've played some of the best players in the country. You saw last year against UNC, and Tez Walker obviously was one of the best receivers in the country. And Georgia Tech gave him a run for his money. I mean, he had some big plays, but he had the last minute fumble at the end of the game really helped Georgia Tech win that game. So another big thing though is, can Haynes King keep the ball out of Florida State hands? Yeah, I mean he led the country in interceptions at one point in the year. I think did he finish the year with the most interceptions? No, he didn't.
Tied for second.
Okay, I'm not going to try to bash Haynes King tonight. But yeah, you got to limit the interceptions against this team. Don't let Florida State win the turnover battle, because they will hurt you with that. They will run down your throat. They will run this clock down. They won't give the offense a chance to score for Georgia Tech if they have the ball in their hands the majority of the game. So if Georgia Tech wants to win, keep the ball out of Florida State hands. Let Haynes King do his best thing to do. And establish a run early. You got to. You can't rely on Haynes King to do everything for you in this game. Florida State's got some really talented defensive linemen and a great linebacker crew. They're fast. These guys are not guys who can get beat outside. They will get there to the point of attack, and they will hurt you. So
yeah, Georgia Tech has got to find a way to run the ball, get Jamal Hayes the ball early, get him in space often. It's going to be tough against a really, really good front seven of Florida State. But Haynes King, I'm sure he'll be better than he was last year. But from what we've seen so far, he's not a guy that you can ask to throw it 35, 40 times a game and feel really confident about winning.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this, through over the past month. Receivers have to be like everything has to be better for you to go win this football game. One of my biggest concerns and another matchup battle is Florida State's defensive line, specifically the edge rushers, against the tackles for Georgia Tech. Patrick Payton is a top 50 pick. Marvin Jones Jr., coming out of fall camp, people are saying that Joker is probably a top 50 pick. When you look at those two guys, you're going to have to ask your tackles. And, okay, let's add this into the equation. Ralph, you're former offensive lineman. You can help me out here. You lose Brett Seither. Okay, you're starting tight end for the year. So you lose a guy who is valuable in the passing game, but also is a good blocker. You don't have the tight end you had last year to accompany him. So you're going to be relying on some guys that, a transfer from an Ivy League school and a couple of younger players, and also Avery Boyd. But Avery Boyd hasn't played a lot of the position with his hand in the dirt in some 12 personnel. You're going to be asking, I feel like, a lot of your tackles to go one-on-one with two top 50 picks, top 50, top 75 picks. That, for me, is a major concern. You're going to have to – and to, your point, Will, like, is that going to require Jamal Haynes to stay inside and help chip block? And that, doesn't allow for Haynes King to have a guy, that they can go to. Ralph, when you talk about tackles going one-on-one, that to me is a battle that I think favors Florida State on paper. Now we'll see on Saturday, but I think that's a cause of concern for Jacket fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're asking I guess are they both juniors on the outside on the tackle position? I think.
I'm trying to think of how many years they've actually played, but
okay,
they've played.
Jordan Williams is listed as a senior, and Joe Fusel, Corey Robinson is listed as a junior transfer.
I'm sorry. This is a wild comment. Just a wild comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ralph.
Talking about a guy that was buried down the depth chart at Georgia. And now he's going to start at Florida State.
You're asking a lot out of your tackles, obviously, because you're talking about 4 quarters of one-on-one football. Now, that is all you practice year in, year out, and all season. One-on-ones with DNs, no matter or D tackles, DNs, outside linebackers, anything. You're supposed to know this. You're supposed to be able to win these battles because that's what you are in college. That's what you're brought in college football. You can win the one-on-ones. You can do whatever you need to do. You can chip block. Get ready for a screen pass. Whatever you need to do. That's the offensive tackle's goal. The left tackle, obviously, you think about the movie The Blind Side. He used the blind side, tackle. Are you going to get beat to the outside? Because these guys are fast. Are you going to get beat outside? Open, let a linebacker come through the gap. If you go too far outside, another blitzing linebacker comes in there and he hits the quarterback as hard as he can. It's a hard thing to ask for both tackles to go one-on-one the whole game, and it's tiring. You're talking if Georgia Tech holds the ball for a majority of this game, you're asking your offensive tackles to work all game long. And like you said, Avery Boyd hasn't had his hand in the dirt a lot. That really does not help out a lot. I mean, most people wouldn't think that's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
If he's not a blocking tight end, now it helps out in the pass game, absolutely. But if you're asking for him to pick up a block on the defensive end, so the left tackle can get up to the linebacker, he's probably going to lose that battle, and that's a tackle for a loss more than likely.
Yeah. No, let's take that point further. Okay, so I was talking with Bud Elliott about it yesterday, and we talked a little bit off camera, and he said the thing that he thought would scare Florida State is if Georgia Tech stayed in 12 personnel. If they still had Seither and they could run Seither and Boyd or Seither and Hawes or guys like that out there, then you get into a situation where now you're probably going to have to run a little more spread. Well, Florida State has some dudes in the secondary. Like, I think that's their best position group defensively. When you start to look in the secondary, Fentrell Cypress, and once again, this is just talk out of fall camp. There's been a lot of talk out of Georgia Tech's fall camp. We'll see you on Saturday. I understand that. But the hype around Fentrell Cypress is that they feel like they're getting that Virginia version of him, where they didn't get it last year, but they're getting the Virginia version. If they are, well, that's a all-ACC first-team player, borderline All-American player. And then you bring in a guy like Azare Thomas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Azare Thomas. He flirted with committing to Georgia Tech. His older brother Wanye played at Georgia Tech, now plays with the Dallas Cowboys. Azare Thomas has been a freak throughout fall camp. And so and they're just fast. Like, they're super fast. So if you go into a situation, so Ralph talked about that, I'll go back to you, Will. if you feel like you have to play more spread against a team that is super fast defensively, now you're asking your receivers to win one-on-one. I don't think Florida State's going to play straight man the entire time by any means. They're going to play zone, but this defense is just fast and physical. And I think that's probably what gives them the edge and why they're a 10-point favorite, even with their offense having so many question marks.
Yeah, I mean, if Fentrell Cypress is back to what we saw at Virginia, it's going to be tough because I would imagine he's going to be on Christian Leary all game, being Georgia Tech's number one receiver.
Oh, God, don't say that. You mean Eric Singleton?
Oh, God.
Eric Singleton.
Yeah,
well,
oh, Jesus. You're about to get
Christian Leary's Bryce's number one receiver on the game.
Because he has 5,000 catches for 400 yards.
You know what? That's where I'm getting at. If he's back to – yeah.
You're fine. You're fine. Bring it back in, Will.
I'm waiting for it. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a Georgia Tech fan, so I don't. The most I see Georgia Tech is Bryce playing them on College Football 25.
Yeah.
But if Florida State can, I think their corners can cover Tech's receivers one-on-one, man-to-man, and that's going to make it tough. I just think it's tough. It's going to be tough for Georgia Tech.
You got to create separation. They've got to be better at that. And like we said, I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what this offense does. Because look, I mean, I think Buster Faulkner is a really, really good play caller. I think it's a matter of time before he gets a head coaching job or a better OC job somewhere at one of the elite programs. So, you know, with my thought process here, offensively, you have to make this a track meet. And let's go back and talk about DJU and them. Like I think the recipe for success for Florida State is to sit there and run the football. Like run the football, pound away at this defensive line that is rebuilt on paper. Is it going to be better? No one. This is the thing. A lot of people, and we'll get into some hypotheticals here. A lot of people. This is just nuts. I mean. This sounds like 95% of the previews I've seen this week. I don't know anything about Georgia Tech, but I don't think they can match up with FSU. Hey, Midnight, we've got a whole damn channel that you can check out on this. If you just want to be a little not so much lazy in your ability to read and comprehend things, maybe just go check it out and you can figure out what we talk about here. I don't know, probably 52 weeks out of the year. No, we do. We just don't think that they have the athletes to match up man-to-man. They're going to have to get creative. Buster Faulkner's going to have to do some things. And, yes, they are a better physical football team than you are.
And I'll be the first one to tell you I am not an expert on Georgia Tech at all. The only 6-6 team that I watch consistently is Auburn. So
I'll just say that I thought Paul Johnson was still coaching until yesterday.
That sent me. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're fine.
Sorry.
Back to the matchups of one-on-one though. I think Eric Singleton last year, blew up the scene last year with his presence offensively. I want to say it was like week 3, week 4 is when we really got to see Eric Singleton kind of take off, and and you saw him all year last year. He's a track star basically. The dude's an insane receiver. He's got great hands, great route running ability. I hope that he continues that this year. I don't want to see him in the they call it the sophomore slump. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen with him. I think he's too good not to let that happen. I'm very happy that he stayed at Tech because the rumors were that he was going to transfer out. But Eric Singleton, he's a playmaker, man. You got to get him the ball somehow, and if he's locked up, you're relying on Christian Leary and Rutherford and your running backs and Avery Boyd. So Eric Singleton, he's going to be the number one receiver this year again. Most people didn't really think he would be number one last year. The kid's just he's an athlete, man. He's a freak athlete. I'm excited to see what Buster Faulkner is going to do with him this year, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a situation where you're going to learn a lot about Faulkner too in year 2. I mean, what changes has he made from being a play caller? What changes has he made as just in terms with the personnel? I mean, it probably feels like he's got better personnel than he had last year. I think that's safe to say, more comfortable with the guys that he's play calling and scheming with. The biggest thing, and Ralph, you mentioned, is Haynes King going to be the guy that is Haynes King going to be the gunslinger where you have to hope that he does more better than he does bad? Is that just who he is? Because you talk to a section of Georgia Tech fans and he's Jesus Christ. I mean, he can't do anything wrong. I mean, that's because you've had James Graham, Jordan Yates, and Jeff Sims who couldn't throw from here to the monitor I've got in front of me without throwing it halfway in the ground. So, yeah, he's good. He's surprised a lot of people, but I would say that he's got to take a next step for you to feel comfortable that you can go in and win games against a team like Florida State. Now, offensively, I think Buster Faulkner's going to put him in a good position. I think that you've got some weapons. Jamal Haynes, 1,000-yard rusher. That's a whole other thing, Ralph. Like Eric Singleton Jr., you don't want a sophomore slump. Jamal Haynes got to prove that last year just wasn't a fluke. This is a guy who literally was on the chopping block of the roster, got converted from receiver to running back and became a 1,000-yard back. You can say it's negative. You can say whatever you want, all these things. My take on this is that you have a guy that you just have you got a bunch of guys that no one's going to be surprised about anymore. They were surprised last year because you've been just awful offensively. This year, they're going to know where number 11 is on the field in Jamal Haynes. They're going to know where number 2 in Eric Singleton is on the field. So you're not going to creep up on anybody offensively. How does Buster Faulkner handle the success of what you had last season? I think that's going to determine a lot of what happens in Ireland on Saturday.
Yeah. It comes down to the nit and gritty of it. Can Haynes King, that's what I said earlier, can he keep the ball out of FSU hands, limit the turnovers? Now, look, if you end the game with 350 yards and 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, I think that's almost what the line was at the Clemson game. And in that fourth quarter, you threw 2 interceptions that were one taken back to a pick six, maybe not. I can't remember exactly.
The Georgia game? No,
the Clemson game. The Clemson game.
The Clemson game? I don't remember. I don't remember if there was a pick six or not, but he threw at least 3 picks.
Yeah, I think it was 4 was the final line. And, he was great for the first half. First 3 quarters, he was terrific, honestly. And that fourth quarter, he could not keep it out of their hands, and that's what lost him the game. So Haynes King's just got to be – he has to be perfect almost. And I hate to say it like that because, everyone says, well, if you're asking the quarterback perfect, that's where all the mistakes come from. I know, but you're in year 2 under Haynes King. This is not like, okay, well, this is, first year in this offense. No, second year in offense, second year of this coaching staff. He's got to be the guy.
I'll say this, we've gotten just roasted completely all season.
He threw 4, yes. So.
Okay. Thanks, Vince. We've gotten roasted all off season because I didn't have him in my top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the ACC, and it's like that should be the expectation. There's no reason why he can't be the best quarterback in the conference this year. He's got to put it all together. Now, I did want to get to this because this is a good kind of quote. And we'll get to some comments here before we kind of get into our picks and predictions for this game, where I'll let y'all, because before I derail the entire show by just singling out people and commenters. He goes, Chase Lane had a really strong game against Louisville. How? All love to you, pal. That was 365 days ago. And Leo Blackburn was hurt. These guys can play, and no one is talking about how good they looked in camp. Everyone looks good in camp because everyone knows the plays you're running. And at this point of fall camp, you're just trying to stay healthy and get to the game. And why am I telling you that? Because at this point in fall camp, when you come out in a certain set, what the defense is going to do because you've been running that play against them for literally 3 weeks straight. So it's time to this is the thing. And maybe doing a week 0 show is just completely pointless in itself. We got to get some data points. Here's what we think Georgia Tech can be. I think they can be a 7-5, borderline 8-4 team. Here's what we think Florida State can be. I think they can be a playoff team this year. We're going to figure out on Saturday. And so it's not, I guess the point of I'm trying to make, fellas, is that I'm not sitting here trying to say, well, this is definitely what they are. It's definitely what I think they probably are. I don't know if Georgia Tech's defensive line is going to be very good. I think it'll be better than last year, but what does that mean when you're 115th in the country? Does that mean you're now 85th? Okay. Does that mean you're 20th? I just think that, I don't know. I think everyone looks good in fall camp. It's time to go play the game and have some data points. I will say this, and I'm not going to give a prediction. If Georgia Tech were to win this game, it would not surprise me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Georgia Tech won this game. And I'll be honest with you, I'll even go as far as this. It wouldn't surprise me if Georgia Tech won by 10 points or more. Because I do think that if this defense creates some kind of weird game where they force DJU and they get pressure on him, they can force some turnovers, and that offense could get clicking and rolling early on. That's a recipe for success. I also think Florida State could win this game by 20 points because they just control the clock and they do that. So we'll get into predictions here in a second, but just guys, thoughts on this idea, I guess. I don't know. This idea, I don't know. Take it where you want.
I'll say this. It comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and O's. And we talk about Georgia Tech's offense. Buster Faulkner has the X's and O's. He probably has the X's and O's to come up with something and beat Florida State. But does he have the Jimmies and Joes? On paper, it would say that they don't, and Georgia Tech doesn't have that. I think to me, it's just too much roster disparity. And Dr. Bob, he was in the comments, said, this is the 5th full year. It's been 4 recruiting cycles for Mike Norvell, so it's not crazy to say that Florida State would have a better roster than Georgia Tech. He's just had more time to build it than Brent Key has.
It's not this is the thing that drives me insane. It's not a personal attack on you and your family. I think that's the craziest thing. Like, when we've been saying all offseason that, hey, I think Florida State's roster is better. Well, why? Well, because they've got experience. They've probably got a better coaching staff. It doesn't mean that Georgia Tech can't win the game. I just think
you see where they're better. Recruiting rankings.
And guess what? The 2025 class is not playing in this game, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Anyways. I don't understand this comment. I don't think this is I don't know. Bryce, give an unbiased opinion, Tech fan. You don't know nothing, Bryce. Oh, yeah, dumb. I got a channel for this crap poser. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I think he's putting like in quotations, like he's saying, this guy's saying you don't know what you're talking about. Bryce is responding. Yeah. He's like, oh, and it's not bad. It's not a bad comment.
Okay, let's get to a couple of these comments. Midnight Jack says, it's nothing personal, Bryce. I'm just a GT fan drunk on hype. How many people were saying GT would upset Miami last year?
Well, you shouldn't have won that game.
Dude, Tech played awful that football game.
That was a good comment until you asked the question about how many people.
I don't. People need to stop using Georgia Tech Miami as a data point. They need to stop using that as a data point.
Hey, and
it's a one-off crazy scenario.
Excited. Yeah, you all should be excited. This is the best team that you've had in 5-6 years on paper. You should be excited.
No, further.
2014.
You should be excited.
Seriously, when they went to the Orange Bowl, this might be the best team. Corey Griggs, which he's just spewing more than a sewer pipe. We definitely have the Jimmies and Joes. This is a real question, Corey. And I hope you call in on Saturday. And I hope Tech wins. Like, I want Georgia Tech to win this football game. Who and how do you know? That's serious. I got God honest truth. Who are the Jimmies and Joes that match up with Florida State, and how do we know? We don't know. So we're going to find out, but let's just throw it out there. You
can make a great argument for the skill positions. I'll give you that one, but offensive line against Florida State's defensive line, I don't see it. I don't see it.
See, and then we like to use this. Didn't UNC have better talent? Just because a team has better talent doesn't mean they will win. But I'm going to tell you, every single time a team has better talent, they're going to be favored. And that's what we're saying. That we're explaining for the people saying that Florida State being double-digit favorites is crazy. I'm simply explaining to you why. Here's the facts. They've got 5 million starts between their entire offense. They've got redshirt seniors everywhere. That's why. They're a better coach team. They're a little more proven too. Georgia Tech's not a proven commodity. That's the thing. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I saw this in a preview show earlier today because everyone's talking Georgia Tech, Florida State. This idea that they're going to use the Orange Bowl last year as a data point is a joke. It's a joke. Like, that's a joke. Like, Florida State didn't show up, and I will tell you this, Will, the guy right there, the guy on the left, okay, he was very much getting after Mike Norvell about the way he handled that situation. Yep. So it's not like we're just letting Florida State off the hook here. That's not a data point. You can't take anything into account what happened last year for this year. We said that multiple times on this program. But what I will sit here and tell you is the way it's constructed currently on paper, I trust Florida State more than I trust Georgia Tech to win this football game. Do I think that Georgia Tech can win the football game? I sure can.
Cord, you've seen it with your eyes. How
probably has.
are you getting
He
in the
probably
building?
has. He probably
How
has.
are you getting in
It's
the
probably
building?
a donor. It's probably a donor practice, or this is probably some. I'm going to stop right there. But it's
Is that honestly though?
Bryce-
Is that against Zach Pyron though? Are they going against Zach Pyron in practice? Because if so,
watch it.
I'm gonna say
Zach Pyron's not DJU though. So
serious question, Cord. How are you getting in the building? Because Bryce covered the team full time and knows the people that could get us in the building, and they won't let us in. So they probably watch the show and don't like the way I talk about Georgia Tech. So that's probably why.
Haynes King. Cord Griggs is Haynes King. Get off the stream. Go study the playbook. And it's I think that I think my biggest thing is that Georgia Tech has all the ability to win this football game, but it's a bunch of hope. It's not a lot of proven stuff. I feel like Florida State's the more proven commodity, even with all the turnover. I'm tired of hearing about how 93.6% of the roster returns and all. And I'm tired of hearing all that nerd stuff. It's football. You're going to line up and you're going to figure it out. Because you know what I sat here and talked about last October or whatever it is? Georgia Tech might be able to go up there and beat Clemson, and they got their brains beat in. Physically dominated. And I think that's the one thing that's a little bit – not being talked about is that I think physically Florida State's better, and we'll see. That doesn't mean you're going to win. That's just why I would lean Florida State, and I think that's the general consensus of why people do that. Now, if you're not willing to understand two sides of an argument, then you're going to continue to scream in the clouds about that. I don't want to derail the show anymore, fellas. I'm sorry. I apologize. We'll see. We'll see. Well, any thoughts? Any more thoughts on this game?
No.
Georgia Tech can certainly win this game. They certainly can. I think they're good enough, like you say, Bryce. If they make it a track meet, they got a really good chance. But if Florida State can slow this game down and play at their pace, I think it can get ugly, and it probably will get ugly quickly.
I just want to go one comment real quick, and this is true. All the few W's we've had since then have been wonderful, but hardly expected. We've got the guys that can get it done, but just like every other Saturday, they have to show up and earn it. That's the 100% truth right there. You can be as great as you can be in practice. You can be as great as you be the last 2 years. Your quarterback can get better last year in offseason. Your receivers can get better. But if you don't show up on the game day, it will not matter whatsoever.
Since you want to throw stats, I think your argument here is flawed. Older age production is the same on both teams, not an argument that the 24/7 guy made yesterday. The older age production is not the same because Florida State's players have won more and have done more than Georgia Tech's older age players. So the production is not the same.
Great example, Romello Height. All potential. He's never realized it. We think he's going to be good. Like I think he's going to be really good. But when you compare him to Patrick Payton, Patrick Payton was an ACC all-freshman. Patrick Payton was the Jekyll and Hyde he was the Hyde to what Jared Verse did last year. He's a proven commodity. Romello Height's not. This is what I'm saying. And it's not personal, but it's just we get caught up in numbers and it's cool and analytics are fun. But you got to look at what's actually happening out there. Like Romello Height is a great example. I will say this: Jordan Williams has played for 6 years, it feels like, at Georgia Tech. I feel like Florida State's offensive line, right tackle, or whatever Williams is going to play on Saturday, is better than Jordan Williams. I just think that the player itself is better. So the argument of, well, he's played 222 career snaps and so-and-so's played 217 career snaps. Yes, those are great data points. Continuity matters. I do agree to that extent. But I think what my biggest thing is, you have to look deeper than just, well, this is the snap count. Like, you have to look at the quality of the player. I think Florida State has better players than Georgia Tech does. It's that simple. I just think that they do. And maybe I'm going to be wrong. Kind of hope I am wrong. But I just think that they have better players. That's really what it is. Wanted to get to this too.
Let's get to this
Again,
real
if
quick.
Tech is-
At least for me
Go
and
ahead.
Ralph, because Bryce, you'll talk more about it tomorrow. I think yes, if Tech is +2 on turnover margin, they certainly will win the game.
I said earlier in the show, if you win the turnover, you win this game. I mean, it's just you got to keep the ball out of their hands and do not let them control the time of possession. You gotta be out there to score, and you got to keep them off the field. I mean, that's just simple football, honestly. So
I can't believe we're having a conversation about 22 people being on the football field at the same time. We're saying that one person won in the game.
Hey,
God.
Did Jordan Travis rush the passer? Did Jordan Travis catch passes? Did Jordan Travis run the ball every down?
It's like when you play Madden Ultimate Team and you have you have 11 Bo Jacksons on one side and 11 Bo Jacksons on the other side. You know,
what were they supposed to do? There's my question. Here's a question. Who would have been good in that situation? Honest to God, we're going to maybe derail this. I gotta address the comments straight on. We'll pick this up week 1. We'll be better about it. What college football team would have been good? Okay, check box, we're fine. And by the way, they still went 13-0 and won the ACC title. What team would have been able to do that? There's probably not any. And I'll tell you, a cover team that might have gotten away with it because they had a rare situation where they had a Heisman winning quarterback and a pretty good quarterback behind them. There's not a lot of programs that are built to withstand that. It wasn't just Jordan Travis out there winning football games. They had literally Braden Fisk, which was one of the more high impact transfers that we have seen recently. We also saw that Jared Verse is a dude. They also had really good players on the back end of their defense, and they also had a running back that got drafted. They had one of the better receivers, and I think one of the better rookie receivers we're going to see in the NFL this year in Keon Coleman. Johnny Wilson was a dude. Jaheim Bell. Like, this idea that one player makes a team, it's just not true. That's the same idea that gets Georgia Tech in trouble with Haynes King at times when he tries to play hero ball. That's all I got to say that. Yeah, I don't know. It's not. It's just not. Like,
should we just move to best bets, honestly?
Yep.
Yeah, I go. I don't care to talk about this anymore.
Well, I do want to address one comment earlier, though. Dr. Bob, week 0 show was pointless last year. Bryce didn't. Maybe don't worry, Dr. Bob. I made sure to add it in the show. Don't worry. I had it ready to go. Last year's Bryce bit Navy plus 20.5, and they got derailed. Will, do you want to go first, I guess?
Yep.
All right, Will. I'm throwing it up there for you.
Yep. My best bet for week 0, Florida State -10. And it's like I've been saying the whole time. I think Florida State is going to be able to run the ball at will. Again, I think they have a huge advantage offensive line against Georgia Tech's defensive line. If they can run the ball like I think they can, like a majority of people think that they can, it can get ugly early. And for those of you who think DJU sucks, and they won't just be one-dimensional, DJU graded out with a 90 grade from Pro Football Focus last season on play action pass. I think that's going to be the game plan for Florida State. They're going to run the ball, set up the run, set up play action for DJU where he's been at his best. He was at his best with Oregon State, and he did a really good job of it at Clemson. I like Florida State. I just think they have better players, and I think they can win this by a couple of scores.
Yeah, look. This year, Will, Bryce, and I have talked about how we're doing best bets. We're going to add a little different change to it this year. Instead of just doing spreads only, we'll add over and under. Are we going to do money line? I don't think we need to discuss that at all. Just straight up the win. Bryce? But mine right now is I got Georgia Tech plus 6.5 in the first half. I think the first half is just going to be one of those, kind of get the feel of the game. No one's going to start out hot. No one's going to start out cold. I just think both teams it'll be a low scoring first half. Both teams just need to adjust. I think it's just, it's like a 13-10 first half. It's nothing too extreme. Both teams score early in the game and then kind of just beat up on each other for the next, 20 minutes. It's just one of those games where I don't want to like the line is too close to me right now to take anything extreme. I don't want to go Tech plus 10. I don't want to go FSU minus 10 right now. But I'm gonna sit with my gut here. I think Georgia Tech can cover the first half at 6.5.
I like that. I like that a lot, Ralph. Georgia Tech's got to make this game ugly. They got to make it ugly. Can they do it for 4 quarters? That's the question. And
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't think they can.
You're not playing, at home. You're playing it out of the country, a new element. Everything's different over there. It's a different environment. I know people don't really get that sometimes, but if you go play, if you're in the NFL, you go play in Atlanta, and the dome's open, and then you go play in Denver the next week. It is a totally different area of ability to play. The air's different. Balls fly a little further. It's just travel is hard. Travel is hard, especially when you're traveling that far. I know you're traveling. They probably left today.
Georgia Tech left yesterday. Florida State left this evening.
Okay, so look, you're traveling. You're there for a few days. You're going to have a little bit of fun probably for a day. Enjoy the area. Explore a little bit. But tomorrow and Friday it's all practice, all locked in. No one's going out and doing anything fun. So it's going to be different for them. But I think Tech can cover that first half spread. I think they can go out there and they can just beat heads in for about for 30 minutes.
Yeah, Rafa, I will say I do like that bet. Georgia Tech plus 6.5 for the first half. It literally will be, it'll be very interesting. So, yeah, I just love the double standard of things don't matter when it happens from last year. When they go against my favorite team, but when it's for my favorite team, man, I'm going to be pulling stuff out of the woodworks to have stats that do it. So, yeah, Matt, we are going to open the phone lines. Like I said, we are going to have a watch party show. It'll start around 11:50 Eastern, and man, we're going to be live throughout the entire game. We'll close the stream down probably about. We'll probably close the stream about right after the final whistle, and then we'll get ready to go. For the live post-game calling show. I'll give my thoughts, and you can hang out with us. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. So it's I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even want to do the show tomorrow night anymore. I don't know. It's just
What'd you expect?
I don't know what I expect. I'm pretty stressed. Yeah, I mean, it's
don't
just,
worry. So is Maxwell. Maxwell's also stressed.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just, I want to say this. I'm not trying to. No, nobody here is trying to say that there's not a reason to be excited about Georgia Tech football this year.
Nope.
It's just.
I'll go ahead and say Georgia Tech's not win a damn game this year. Are you happy?
Listen, I took Georgia Tech over 5 wins. I want Georgia Tech to win games.
I'm still shocked that was the line.
Their line's super low. I think that's easy money. Over some places it's 4.5.
Yeah, I think the 4.5 is diabolical. This team can easily win 7. Easily.
At least.
By cord, no one cares. But yeah, when I saw the lines come out beginning of the year, you saw obviously Clemson was 9.5, 10.5. FSU was 10.
FSU's 9.
FSU's 9, and then Georgia Tech was 4.5 and 5.5. I was, after last year, it's. I mean, I don't know. I guess they're just thinking their schedule's too hard for them to win every game, to win enough games.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, I think they're improved. It's going to open up in 2025. It's just going to be interesting. It's just really going to be interesting to see. I think that this is a game where you're going to learn a lot about yourself. It's not the end all be all. You want to start off on the right foot. Got ripped in the comments couple on Sunday night because I sat there and said that you could take things away and be happy about it. Apparently, no one's allowed to be happy about anything if you lose, which is just not realistic.
If you lose in the last minute field goal, do not be mad. I mean, that's just true.
Well, you can be frustrated because you came so close, but you also have to be able to take a step back and say, "Holy cow!" Like someone commented this earlier, and I don't know. There's been some comments. They said Georgia Tech doesn't have to win; they've got to prove they belong. And I think that is a very, very astute point because if you can prove you belong, it's going to keep kids committed. It's going to keep kids, interested in Georgia Tech, which is what they need, and that's what they need. But we don't know anything. We don't know anybody. That's how it is.
That's gonna be
And
me and Will's podcast when you hit take a break during the show on Saturday. It's just gonna be me and Will talking.
I don't know, fellas. We've got. Should I even do a show tomorrow night?
That's up to you. I do want to give one shout out if you don't mind, Bryce. We had a comment earlier in the show. Hey, that's my boy from Troy, John Scott. Been a long time. I'm glad he's watching the show tonight, though.
We're going to be at Troy this year.
Maxwell, that is true. Nobody's credentialed.
No one is because, well, I'm going to hold off on that. We'll see. We'll see what happens week 1. If week 1 doesn't happen, I'll tell you one thing. If week 1 doesn't happen, yeah. Also, this is a good point right here. Just a wild name. Also, the Aer Lingus Classic has always been weird, apparently. Y'all remember when a Northwestern team beat a one-win Northwestern team beat Nebraska?
Yep.
This was a weird game. It's why I don't want to touch it in terms of a best bet. You know what, though? Put me down for Georgia Tech plus 6.5 in the first half. I'm going to ride that with Ralph. I feel good about that.
Pause.
Yeah. I think I feel good about that. That'll be my best bet. And just bottom line, like, defense has to show up. And, I mean, we can't talk anymore about this game. So we're probably not even going to do a show tomorrow about it because I don't know what else there is to say. Like, what else is there to say?
We've talked about it for the last 3 months. So can we just talk about someone else's game? Can we talk about Hawaii?
I'm so ready for somebody else to play.
Look, Delaware State didn't get to leave on time. They missed their bus ride to the airport.
Hammer Delaware State plus 66.5, by the way.
That's not the line. I made it up, but still, it might be. Hawaii will win 21-10.
Should we open up the phone lines?
Nope.
I don't have time for phone calls tonight.
Either way.
Or the patience. All right. Hey, we appreciate you watching. Completely derailed the show. It'll probably be deleted off YouTube shortly thereafter. It is what it is. And we'll catch you next time. Make sure you tune in Saturday. We're going to have that live watch show. And we'll open the phone lines on Saturday, win or loss, and it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully. Can't wait for it. And we'll see you next time.